ECSI fans, you want to revolutionize your sports investing habits? Allow me to tell you about WagerWire. WagerWire is an app that helps you become a superior bettor by allowing you to sync all your sports books and track all your bets in one place. See your current action, your betting history, and stats. You could also sign up for sports books and collect bonus offers. Follow them at WagerWire on X, as it's the best account on the platform. Head to App Store or Play Store now and search WagerWire and download the
Excuse me, Mr. DJ. Excuse me, Mr. DJ.
Check this out. We got a great show coming your way.
From the ECSI Sports Studios, the #1 sports information program in America, The Breakfast Bankroll, with your host, the sports broker, Jeff Dawson.
Good morning, sports fans from all around the globe. I am the co-host, Jeff Dawson, East Coast Sports Investors, and it is that time of the day for the Breakfast Bankroll. Good friend and colleague, Mr. Scotty Webb, live from Tampa, as I am in Cape Cod, a nice 34 degrees. It's December 23rd. It'll be our last day of shows as we get ready for the Christmas Eve and Christmas season. Remember, always family first, people, family first. So me and Scotty gonna do our breakfast bankroll here, and then around 10:25, 10:30, midday market report with Andrew McGinnis, and at the top of the hour, Mr. Matt Grissom. So we're gonna cover all the bases, no pun intended, of course, but we're gonna do what we can to get ready for the holiday season. First and foremost, as always, a shout out to our proud sponsors and partnerships. WagerWire. Head on over to Google Play, download the app. It is free. And of course, AtlantaSteaksAndSeafood.com. Steak, seafood, chops, appetizers, wine. Terry's got it all. I was going to bring him on today, but Georgia plays next week. So we're going to bring him on next Monday or Tuesday so we can talk some Georgia Bulldogs. So without further ado, let's bring him on. Mr. Scotty Webb. What's up, Scotty?
Hey, Philip Rivers is making me feel pretty good about being an old guy.
I thought I got the memo that the Rays sent you an email. They want you to come down to Winter Ball.
No, they didn't do that. They looked at my health portfolio and said, "Nope, you can't come down and do that. You can come watch us do stuff."
You know, it's kind of comical. God, I'm not going to get political here. You know that. That's one thing we don't do here. Church and politics. My point is, Colin Kaepernick. There's a few other quarterbacks or other people in the NFL that feel slighted. And whenever there's a key injury, Colin Kaepernick's ready, or so-and-so's ready. The fact is that Philip Rivers was sitting on his couch just like Joe Flacco last year. And Flacco came in and was a monster last year. And look at him this year. Everyone wants him, for this purpose. The Philip Rivers and the 9, 10, 11 kids, whatever. Well, the funny of the story is he gets now health care for the next 5 years. So by coming back. So my point is, in the NFL especially, I talked about a couple of weeks ago, there needs to be on that practice spot an extra spot designated for an emergency quarterback so you can draft and develop. I'm not discrediting anything that he is did or doing. Just the fact, though, that a 44-year-old guy can come off the couch versus a kid that just graduated college that you can nurture or something, and maybe he never makes it to the bigs, but it's just an amazing story.
Well, I mean, it's. I think that being retired out of the league for 5 years is the most impressive thing to me. I mean, he's a high school football coach, for God's sakes. That's what he does. So I'm sure he wings the ball around in practice and stuff like that. But I guess in my mind, I look at it like, um, if you're the quarterback on the field and you can read the defense, that's not going to change. And if you can put the ball in the right spot, then you put the ball in the right spot. And that's what he's doing. I just figured, his arm strength wasn't good enough to zip it out there fast enough. But whatever. Maybe he doesn't zip it and he just throws it before those guys make their breaks and they're in the right spot and the ball gets there. So I don't know. So, but anyway, I just think it's funny to watch. I root for him just because he's old, but at the same time, I got to ask the question: is where did the Indianapolis defense go? Like what happened? They gave up 50 points. Now I get it, one was a pick six, but it's still you're trying to get in the playoffs and you give up 50 points. It's not going to work that way, and you're at home, so. That's very concerning, in that regard, because they know what restrictions they have at quarterback, and they did that very well against Seattle the week before on the road, and then they come home and quote play a lesser team that didn't look lesser to me. So I don't know what's going on with Indianapolis. I think that they got a tough road to hoe. They play Houston and Jacksonville. They got to win them both, and they won't win them both. They might win one, but they're out. So I think it is what it is.
Shout out to PB for reposting the stream. Merry Christmas to you and your family, PB. Thank you for all you do for myself, Scotty, and the ECSI family here. No, they're out. They had that Philly a handful of years ago. Start the year 7-1. Remember. Jonathan Taylor, the bell of the ball, Daniel Jones. Once Daniel Jones went down, the cookie started to crumble. I think Seattle obviously took Indy lightly last week, playing that mistake-free game. 6 field goals to beat them. Now, as bad as we want to say about the NDD, I mean, the 49ers control their own destiny. If they win out, they're the number 1 seed because they play the Bears this week. And it's kind of funny, Scott, because I saw a look-ahead line of only 3. I wonder if they moved that because the Bears, let me see, 3, there's a 2.5 at Bet Online. So here's the, remember what we saw last with the 49ers putting up a 50-burger, coming back home. And the Bears, with a couple extra days rest, will now go travel there. I think most people will say, hey, 49ers win. Let's bring on Seattle for the number 1 seed. And it kind of, with this opening line and the true opening line was 2.5, seems a little short to me. Maybe the books are finally giving the Bears a little respect here.
Might be. I mean, they should. There's no question that they should. I think that's that's a team that is doing everything like what you've been talking about all the time, like exactly what New England's doing, right? Doing the same type stuff. So I think you've been on that for a long time. I'm trying to look this up real fast. The thing that I look at and what I wanted to look at what the Bears, where's the NFL at? They didn't play. So go there, and go there. So if we look at the Bears, right? The Bears are so go. Come on. I always hit the wrong buttons when I'm on my phone because I have big fat thumbs. So let me go back there. What I guess what I'm trying to do, and I will have done in a second because I will get it. And I saw this last night because I it's on my phone. I don't have it on my computer. It's the Score app, that I get the scores from. And then, they do the standings and they do all this other stuff, just like, all the other things do. But I was looking at it, but one of the things when they rank their standings, they put the strength of schedule there. And I thought that was interesting because and the first thing I looked at was, because it pops up first, the NFC. So Seattle, Chicago, the Eagles, and the Panthers, right? And then the 49ers, Rams, and Packers. So here's the strength of schedules for those teams. Not in any order, but in order, but 21, 29, 26, 16, 28, 5, 22. There's 32 teams. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 of those teams are 20 or worse. So one team, the 5, that's the Rams. So the Rams have played a pretty tough schedule, and they're kicking butt against the best of the best. In the American League or the AFC, you got 31, 32, 13, 8, 29, 27, 9. The 8 is the Pittsburgh Steelers. The 9 is the Houston Texans. The 31 is the Broncos. The 32 is the Patriots. The 29 is the Chargers. The 27 is the Bills. So these teams, it's interesting because we always talk about it and we go, well, they didn't play anybody. Well, nobody played anybody. You know what I mean? Like the only teams that have played anybody is the Pittsburgh Steelers, and they're, a little above 500, 9-6, and in the Houston Texans and the Rams. So, I look at it and I go, all these people are talking about the strength of schedule and the Patriots haven't played this and this hasn't played that. Well, nobody has. So before you go crazy and all that stuff and talk about we talked about it, I think it was either yesterday or a couple of days ago, about how the scheduling in the NFL is just way different, and it gives teams an unfair advantage, so to speak. But at the same time, it gives them the opportunity to be up there in the middle, just like everybody else, and competitive at the end. So it's an interesting way that they do it, and the reality becomes is you just got to beat the people in front of you, and it just we'll see what happens. Like I think obviously it's going to come down, like down here for Tampa Bay, it's going to come down to the last game, and I'm not sure what's going to happen with the Packers and the Lions, but one of those two is going to be in, and one of them is going to be out. And I think the Lions are going to end up being out. So we'll see. I mean, it's interesting how it all breaks out and shakes out.
A scary thought, and well, maybe in some people's eyes, some not. The 49ers host the Bears. Then they host Seattle. If the 49ers win out, they're the number 1 seed. The Super Bowl is in San Francisco this year. So technically, if San Fran wins out, they never have to leave their home field.
Yeah, they're not in suitcases at all. They're living right out of their house.
Are you are you buying the San Francisco treat, as we like to say, rice-a-roni here? Kittle did get hurt. I don't know how severe it was late. I don't know if he'll be back for the Bears game. We've been talking most of the second half of the year about the Rams, about Seattle. We both think the Rams are the team to beat. Seattle, with the home field advantage, is dangerous. Yes, we know it's Darnold. We get all that. The Eagles are the Eagles. I think the Lions have been leaking way too much oil. They're probably going to be outside looking in. What's your thoughts as San Fran now controls and Seattle? They both control their own destiny.
Yeah, I think it's going to come down to that last game, right? So, I guess my thoughts are this: is that I don't think you can win the NFL Super Bowl without a quality defense, and I don't think the San Francisco 49ers have a quality defense. And to be quite honest with you, I'm not sure they have a quality offense. Now, I know I get it. They have McCaffrey and stuff, and they have Kittle. But a quality defense might take away, some of that. And then, they're going to have to use their what I would call fringe wide receivers to beat you. And I don't know that they can. And I certainly don't think that their defense can put pressure on a quarterback because their guys are all hurt and stuff, and their linebackers are hurt and all that. So I don't think they're like the best team, even if they become the number 1 seed. I don't think they're the best team. It wouldn't surprise me because I think it's a home game that they play against Seattle. I don't think it would surprise me that they beat Seattle, but I think Seattle's got a much better defense than what San Francisco does. But again, if you ask me, I would take Brock Purdy over Sam Darnold, and I don't like the running game that Seattle has, even though they can run. They're just inconsistent with the run, and they have one wide receiver. So I'm not super impressed with with what Seattle can do throwing the ball. So their defense doesn't hold them in the game. It's going to be kind of tough. So they're interesting flaws, and I don't think the Rams have them. So I mean, I get it; they can lose, and just like any other team can. But I don't think that I think. You can go and say, hey, they got a great defense. And I think you can say, hey, they got a great offense. They can run the ball. They can throw the ball, and I like their head coach. So I think kind of as it kind of breaks down and goes through, the Rams are going to have to do it on the road because I don't think they can get there. And, if San Francisco does get the home field, I'm not so sure that's a super big advantage in terms of, numbers of points and things like that, and a real difficult place to play for opponents, like maybe Seattle would be, stuff like that. So, but yeah, I guess the way I would say it would be is, yeah, I can see the 49ers being the number 1 seed. I don't think they're the number 1 team. And, similarly with the Seahawks.
Quick question before we move on to a couple bowl games today. Baltimore Green Bay on Saturday the 27th opened at 3, now 2.5. Don't know if Lamar's playing or not, unless you get Snoop in there. Can you please tell me the ramifications? Does Baltimore have to win to make that Week 18 at Pittsburgh game meaningful?
Yeah, they got to win out. Baltimore has to win every game. Okay. Because they're where's my thing at? I think they're 2 games behind right now. So I think if Pittsburgh wins this week, they're like if Pittsburgh beats Cleveland, it don't matter about that other game. But let me double check it. Standings. So Pittsburgh right now, there we go. Pittsburgh right now is 9-6. And the Ravens are 7-8, so they're 2 games behind. So that means Pittsburgh has to lose, and this week, and they're not going to lose to the Browns. So Pittsburgh wins this week. It doesn't matter about that game because
can I tell you the line's only 4? It's at Cleveland.
Well, in Profit X world, it's only 3.5.
That one smells. The NFL. We need that game. I mean, because you're going to have Tampa and Carolina winning, and you're going to have most likely San Francisco, Seattle for the number 1 seed. There's a good possibility Denver and the Chargers for the number 1 seed. So you got all these potential setups that Houston is traveling to the Chargers this week. That flipped. Houston was 1-point favorite. Now Chargers 2-point favorites. So, again, we got to let it play out. But there's a lot of potential. Week 18, 3 or 4 games for divisions, for number 1 seeds, for home field advantages.
Yeah, that's the way the NFL works, isn't it? It's amazing how they keep you holding on to your seat all the way to the end. And hey, Amber Holly, want to say hi to Amber Holly. So as things kind of work out and kind of play through, it's they keep you there. And, I would say obviously not all leagues do that. I think the baseball is getting better at doing that with the wild card and the different things that they brought in. Makes it a little bit different as you're coming down to the wire. But, some of these teams just aren't any good, and you can even say that, right? You can sit there and go, well, the Giants and the Raiders are playing for the number 1 pick.
Yeah. 3 games today in bowl games. Toledo, Louisville at 2, Western Kentucky, Southern Miss at 5:30, and UNLV, Ohio at 9 o'clock. Games on Paper has all the games up there. Did you want to break one of those 3 games down, Scotty?
We can. We can do the Louisville game if you want.
Okay,
Um,
pull it up.
Now, I will say this, like I gave out yesterday, Utah State, and they didn't do very well in the first half and third quarter, and then they started scoring when they replaced their quarterback. But they got beat pretty handily in that game. But I warned everybody, hey, look, these small conferences, just bet half units, don't bet full size units, and I did. But I will say this, I made a real bet on this game. This is Louisville and Toledo. So when you pull up this game and you start to look at it, there's a couple of things. The first thing I think that you really need to pay attention to in this particular game is the Portal Trackle website that I gave you. So when you do that, the first thing you're going to see is in the portal for Toledo, their starting defensive end, their starting safety, their starting linebacker, and their starting left tackle, they're gone. Those 4 players, and obviously 3 of those players are on defense. And what's Toledo known for? Defense. They're not known for their offense. And then on the opt-out side, the safety is going to go to the Senior Bowl, so he's not playing in this game. He don't want to get hurt before the Senior Bowl. So now they got 4 guys out, and then you have a new head coach because you had a turnover of head coaches. There's all the defensive side of the ball assistant coaches, they're gone too. So I'm not sure what, and the starting quarterback for Toledo, he's not going to play either because he's hurt. So his name was Tucker Gleason. He's not going to play, and the starting left guard's not going to play. I don't know what to tell you. Like the team that they're going to put on the field today is not the team that was the best team in the MAC. Of course, they didn't win the conference, but they were the best team, power rating wise. And if you put them, they'd be a favorite over any of those teams. So the quarterback's gone, the head coach is gone, all the defensive players are gone. They're a defensive football team. I don't see it against Louisville. I mean, Louisville's a step up. Now, Louisville played the 49th toughest difficult schedule. Well, that's when you play like a team like Ohio State or some of those Big Ten schools, they're playing top 10 type schedules and well, maybe not Ohio State, but Louisville 49. But what did Toledo play? They played the 90th. So the schedule quality of opponent that they played all season long doesn't match up to what Louisville does either. Now, Louisville isn't the greatest offensive team either, but they are a good defense. And I think that I don't think that. So what does that mean? Well, if you look at the breakdown, like what Jeff's looking at right there, let me go back to it. And you look at it. Toledo or Louisville is number 21 on defense year to date. Toledo is number 1 on defense year to date. They won't be number 1 in this game, but they're number 1. Those guys aren't there. So when you think about what does Toledo do well on offense, they throw the ball. That quarterback's not there. So that's going to be a problem for them. And the best thing that Louisville does on defense, defend the pass. So the offense, they run, they're 98th on the run for Toledo. I think it's just a bad matchup. I don't think that they have a way to overcome the loss of the quarterback and still score points against a good defense. And then all those defensive guys are gone from Toledo. I think Louisville, I don't think they're going to smash them, but I think, what was my number for the AI came out in this game? It is Slide, there it is. 27-10. 27-10, and that made sense to me. Louisville. And I looked at it like, how can Toledo score? What are they going to do? And I just don't think that they're going to. And remember, these are MAC kids against ACC conference teams, and the quality of player at every position is going to be lower for the MAC kids, and most of them are going to be replacement players. So I think this is a spot here where you're going to see Louisville shine a little bit and do well. So I made a legit bet. Like, this is a real bet on this game. I think it's the best bet of the day. And then the middle game, that Western Kentucky game, I did not bet that game. My AI says Western Kentucky 31-24, but the confidence level was 6.5 in that game. So I want it to be 7-8, something like that, before I 7.5, 8.5 before I start betting these games. The last one's the most interesting one to me. Is the UNLV game. It's I've got it 38-28, which is a cover for UNLV. My problem is, and I would only bet, the most I would bet on this is a half unit, is because these are small conference. These are small conference teams. They're UNLV can't stop anybody. And Ohio, their head coach got fired for the same stuff that the Michigan guy got fired for. So it's chaos in some of these places. And I don't know if you watched UNLV play, but Cal Vetta, whatever his name is, I think that's his name, Cal. He's like a little blonde kid that plays quarterback for them, and he is. I'm trying to pull up his name right now. There it is, Calandria, Anthony Calandria. And if you watch him, he's a little short kid. He's got a little hyperness to him and stuff, but he's got flair and flash and pizzazz, and he graded out QBR wise really well. Now Ohio's got a pretty good quarterback too in Navarro, but he didn't grade out very well. He's like middle of the pack. And Ohio is a plodding, slow-moving type team, and UNLV is a quick-paced. I'm going to score all the time, but they can't stop anybody. So it's an interesting matchup. But I think UNLV can cover that game. I didn't bet it yet. A, and B, if I did bet it, I wouldn't bet it, but like a half a unit or something. But I didn't do a half unit on Louisville. I put the bigger money on it.
To wrap up this segment here, there was a tweet out yesterday on the AL East on all the teams and what they've done so far in the offseason. And we know the Red Sox have made a few trades. They haven't officially signed anyone on the free agent market. The Orioles have made a couple big moves. Alonso, Dylan Cease. Your Rays have done some stuff. The Yankees have done squadoosh, 0-zip. And the big boys, the Dodgers went in and they got their guy, Edwin Diaz, of course. My question to you is, Mr. Cashman and Mr. Steinbrenner get ready for Christmas. It almost looks, by the lack of movement, they're waiting to make the big movement. So is this a Tucker or bust? They're leveraging themselves for Tucker here?
I don't know. Like, my problem is that with the New York Yankees anyway, I don't think that the Yankees are that destination that everybody wants to go to anymore. They're not going to be upset if they go there, but it's not that A1 number one destination that players want to go to. And that's because, yes, they're going to put them in a position to win, but they're not really equipped to win in a lot of cases. So, I'm not going to say they got a bad roster, because, if you start to look at the way they stand and how it all comes out, and they had the same record as Toronto last year. If you look at the standings, it's the same record, but they didn't beat Toronto. So Toronto won the division, right? So they had to come in as a wild card. So, They won 94 games, I think, last year. And that was without Garrett Cole the whole season. Well, not the whole season, but most of the season. So I think that, as this kind of looks and go, I don't know if I don't, I guess my thought is when back in the day, right? The ownership was like, I don't care what it takes. Go get whatever. I'm going to spend the money. I'm going to do what it takes. They don't do that. That's not that they don't do that. They spend money, but they don't do that kind of thing. If they did that kind of thing, then they would be competing with the Dodgers and stuff in terms of money spent and all that kind of, and they don't do that. So it's kind of interesting to see what they're going to do and what they have. I mean, their major thing right now is they signed Paul Blackburn, for God's sakes. Paul Blackburn's going to be a bullpen piece, if anything, for them. I think that this is a team, and I've said it for a long time, that if Aaron Judge doesn't hit, they don't win. So they need other components to help them and do stuff. They got a surprising lift last year from Grisham. I don't think you're going to see Grisham do the same thing this year, right? That was a one-off kind of season for him. Not that he's not a good player, but it's a one-off kind of season where you hit 30-some home runs, and all the stuff he did. He's not going to do that. He's going to go way back to his regular self, and he's going to, he couldn't start for the Padres. He couldn't start for the Yankees, and then he took off. So, he's not a starting player. So they need to find several things. What are they going to do at shortstop? Volpe's arm fell off. And to be quite honest, Volpe's not what they think he is. So I think they got a problem at shortstop. I think the kid at catcher, Wells, I think he's developing. I think he'll keep getting developed and do well. Bellinger's not on this team yet. So they got lots of holes. So they better be coming up with more than one solution. Kyle Tucker being a left-handed bat at Yankee Stadium, that's probably a pretty good thing for them. He can play the outfield for them. The position he plays is the same position Aaron Judge plays. So that's kind of a weird thing. What are you going to do? Put Aaron Judge in center field and put Grisham in left? I don't know. That doesn't make much sense to me either. So that's all weird. To me, that's weird. Then you got what's his name? The guy they got from the Marlins, the flashy guy that plays second base.
Oh, they got Jazz.
Yeah, Chisholm, right? Where's he going to play? Is he going to play third base? Is he going to play second base? So I just think it's all over the place with the Yankees. So nothing has come out that says, hey, we're going to do this. This is our plan. This is where we're going. These are the guys we're going to sign. They need a Kyle Tucker, and they need a lot more, right? I was surprised to see the Mets let Jeff McNeil go. Now, all that stuff is all saying, hey, we got rid of him and some of these other miscontents and whatever on this team because we want Ketel Marte.
Can I stop you right there? Because I talked to someone at length, and there's and I didn't know of this. I don't know if you're aware of this, that there's a clause in Soto's contract.
Yeah, I know.
Okay.
Dominican players.
So here's what I'm going to say to you, because that was my lead in, is they're talking about Ketel Marte. Their lineup from 1 to 4 would be Lindor, Soto, Marte, and Polanco. And I know how you talk about clubhouses and the USA or Japan versus the DR, the I guys, the high fives, all flexing, they're having fun, but it's all about them. I was going to say that would be a little alarming if my top 4 are those 4. Not that they're not good or anything, but if I was in the clubhouse outside looking in and I knew about the Soto clause, I'd be waving my hand, and no disrespect to these guys. Hey, what the bleep's going on here?
It's exactly right. Like, it is what it is. I think this clause is 29% of the players on his team.
33%.
Is it 33? 33% of the players on the team have to be, Latin American players. So, look, man, I don't know what to say about all that stuff. And, they agreed to it. So, whatever. I guess they got to live up to that. I put them on the bullpen or something. But anyway, it is what it is. And I'm not trying to be mean. And I'm not. Look, those guys are really, really good. So like here's where's my let me go here for 1 second. Where's my World Baseball Classic thing I got going on? So World Baseball Classic. So here's what their starting lineup for the Dominican Republic is: Yanier Diaz at catcher. Now, that's not a bad catcher. He's not a great catcher. He's not bad. Vladimir Guerrero Jr. at first. Ketel Marte at second. Geraldo Perdomo at shortstop. Jose Ramirez at third base. Juan Soto in right field. Left field. Then you have Julio Rodriguez in center field. Fernando Tatis Jr. at third base. And then you have Junior Caminero. He's the guy that plays here for Tampa. He's the designated hitter. But the truth of the matter is they have Manny Machado. They don't have a spot for him. That's pretty eye-opening. Like those are great players, but collectively they're whatever. Yeah. They didn't make it last year. Last time. I'm gonna guess this time, they might get a little better. I don't know what the other teams look like yet. Team Mexico was really good the last time. So I don't know exactly how they're going to look and feel and compare to some of these other teams. Team Puerto Rico used to put a pretty good team out there. So the Dominican looks really good, but I don't know what Puerto Rico looks like. I don't think it's going to be this strong. But Puerto Rico usually has better pitching than Dominican Republic does. But Latin American players, man, look, I have a hard thing with them. They're really, really talented people. I think of it this way. Their whole goal in life when they were 3 years old and growing up is to be a baseball player. That's their whole goal in life, is to get off the island and get paid and come to the United States and play baseball. So that creates a culture of, I got me. I have to rely on me. I have to be the best player that I can be. And I need to hit the ball. I need to do this. I need to run. I need to do that. It's all me stuff. And then they get drafted. And then they come over here and they learn to drive, and they learn how to do banking, and they learn to speak a little bit of English, and they learn the game a little bit way past the time that they needed to learn the game. So they make it to the big leagues and they don't know the game 100%. And they're all still me guys, because that's the culture they came from. And it doesn't mean that it's anything more than that's kind of their background of how it works. They don't play basketball over there. They don't play football over there. They play baseball. And they play baseball since they're 3 years old to try to get off that island and make money. That's what they do. They got broomsticks and stuff, and hitting little rubber pellets and balls and stuff in the streets to get to be Major League Baseball players. So it's a tough road to hoe, and there's a lot of it, but that's all they do. So the competition level is high. So I get it. You got to be a me guy to beat that competition. I get that 100%. But that also is a detractor from winning team baseball games. Being part of a collective group that wins a lot of things. It's a detraction from that. Think about it this way: Yanier Diaz, the catcher for Houston, right? That's who he plays for. How many World Series and championships have he won? None. Vladimir Guerrero Jr. None. He played for one, but he didn't win. Ketel Marte, none. Perdomo, none. Jose Ramirez, none. Julio Rodriguez, none. Tatis Jr., none. Machado, none. I don't even know if he played for one. I don't remember what he was with the Dodgers, but none. And then the only one that you can say anything good about is Soto, and Soto won one with the Nationals. And then you flip it to the other. You can look at all kinds of different things when you're doing this stuff. But my opinion basically is that you got to play team baseball to win baseball games. It's an individualized sport in terms of effort. A pitcher has to individually be good. A batter has to individually be good at the plate and take his at-bat seriously. But it's a team game because every player has a role to fulfill while they're at-bat or while they're on the mound or the play in the field that so unfortunately, because of my whole thing is I think it's a cultural way they grow up. Latin American players don't follow that same structure, so they don't play that way. And they just go make their dynamic play, and if they get it, they get it. If they don't, they don't. If they hit the home run when they need to hit the home run, it's great. If they don't advance the runner, they don't care. It's not part of their world. That's not how it works.
Well, we'll be back on Friday. We're going to be back on Friday to recap everything that we've missed. I'm multitasking here. Bear with me here.
But the only other thing I would say, Jeff, and this isn't baseball related, this is more Thursday, Christmas Day related. Be careful betting those Thursday football games if you're going to bet them. You got games with who's playing the Redskins. You've got Dallas playing Washington. Washington's got a backup quarterback. You've got Detroit against Minnesota. Minnesota's got a backup quarterback. You got Denver at Kansas City, and I don't know who's going to be the quarterback for Kansas City. These are pretty meaningful games for in terms of whether they make playoffs or they don't. It's just tough.
Washington has a third-string quarterback. Minnesota will have a backup quarterback, and Kansas City will have a third-string quarterback.
Yeah, it's like, okay. Be very careful betting those games. Just, if anything, bet unders and all of them. I don't know. I'm just making that up. But my point is that it's Christmas Day. I know you want to bet the games, and I know you want to watch the games. You're gonna pay for them to watch them. They're on Netflix, I think, except for the last one. I think it's on Prime. But my thoughts is just take the day and bet basketball or not bet at all, and open your Christmas presents and play with those or do whatever. I don't know. Maybe and then you have Friday. Friday comes along and you end up with Central Michigan, Northwestern, New Mexico, Minnesota, Florida International, and UTSA, which those aren't great games either. And then Saturdays when stuff starts to happen, you get Clemson and Penn State and stuff like that. So.
Andrew McGinnis will be on in about 9 minutes, and hopefully Matt Grissom will be on at the top of the hour. Andrew, a big NHL slate before the Christmas. And, of course, Matt Grissom will talk about his win in the Not Your Average Joe's final quarter. Great heater there in college football. And we'll talk a little SEC hoops with the Arkansas Razorbacks. So for myself, Jeff Dawson, DT Sports Invest, the one and only Scotty Webb at Webby20 MLB. Shout out to Amber Holly. Shout out to the Wager Wire community. And, of course, as always, shout out to BB. Go grab a quick coffee and stay tuned. We'll be right back.